Gonna make the same mistake as last time with the Google's dumb UI. And this has actual audio. All right, let's get it. Let's get it. Um, all right, here we go. Here we go. Put my phone on the nifty little thingy, and we're gonna get started here. I think this is good. We're still getting it. We're still getting used to it. Ho, look at that. That's actually pretty good. I like that. I kind of like that. All right. All right. Okay. Let's see here. Hold on. I'm gonna slightly adjust it. See if this makes it look a little better. Okay. Okay. POV, you're about to do something horrible. You're about to make something horrific. All right. Here we go. All right, all right, all right. Let's get it done. Here's a good let me just give you a brief rundown on how to use uh dip pens or traditional kind of calligraphy pens because these are pretty good. Actually there's not a lot of information. If you're going to use ink, Doc Martens, I think it's just like, the Doc Martens, the guy who makes the shoes. they that company actually makes some pretty good ink. And there's two types of ink. There's ink for fountain pens, right? And then there's also ink for um you have fountain pens, right? And you also have dip pens. These are dip pens. So there's not really anything special going on with a dip pen. All you really got is well, it's just a stick with a little nib at the end. So, what do you call it? Yeah. But I used to think that dip pens were actually really hard to use, but I'm slowly coming to the realization that dip pens actually are probably some of the better ones to use. Um, yeah, I don't know. Dip pens are fun. All right, let's get drawing. What do you guys want me to draw? What do you guys want me to draw? Let's draw something funny. Let's draw something quirky. By the way, these are the two types of ink. This is fountain pen ink, and this is India ink. If you put this into a pen like this, it's gonna break that pen. So you always use fountain pen ink for fountain pens. All right, what do we draw? What do we draw? Something funny, maybe like some sort of machine. I feel like a good machine would work. The first thing you do when you draw a machine, I think, but you don't know what the machine is going to be doing, is you just animate it. You just start drawing little boxes. You draw some boxes. You kind of fake the technical stuff because, like, as an engineer, most things on like in a technical design aren't really necessary. Like, take this calculator for example. It's like a lot of this stuff isn't really necessary. You could say, oh well, these ridges right here, that's for grip. But it's like, okay, then why do you have that little thing? Why is that at that particular angle? What, like, a lot of the stuff on this calculator isn't quite really necessary. Um, so so I think if you're trying to draw like mechanical devices, um, you know, it's a good idea to kind of know some of the fundamentals of the engineering that you're doing. But to a large extent, when it comes to product design, a lot of the stuff that's on a product isn't exactly necessary. Hmm. But yeah, now we have like a base. That's like something we can jump off of. But we need to turn that into something. I can't really think of a good idea yet. Um, what's a good idea? What's a good idea? What's something funny? Something maybe with gnomes. What would be a funny gnome thing? How do you include a gnome onto this thing right here? Um, hmm. Maybe the gnome has maybe it's like a gnome dressing station, but I don't really. It doesn't seem like completely great. What would you call it? Gnome, uh, gnome equipment depot, gnome utility outpost. I'm thinking of like something I'm just gonna draw it. Okay. thinking. I'm thinking that this is gonna be some sort of like robotic arm thingy where the the robotic arm is basically like what is it doing? What is it basically doing? I'm not sure. Actually, no, I am sure. I just can't think of how to say it. I think it's going to be a robotic arm that that does what? That dresses a gnome. Um, yeah, but I can't think of a good like a great way to like phrase it. Like, how do you phrase something? Oh, that's not great. That's okay. Let's think here. Let's think here. It's gonna be a robotic arm that's like putting a gnome hat on a gnome, something like that. Let's see here. There we go. Now, oh gosh, this is always the complicated part. It's like so there's like two major types of robotic limbs. There's prismatic joints, and then there's rotational joints. Prismatic joints move linearly, and rotational joints move like that. And this would be like a linear actuator, and this would be like a servo motor. The main thing is like how do you make a hmm, how do you make a arm like because hands are hard. Hands are they call them in robotics end effectors, um, but end effectors are kind of like the design of end effectors is complicated because like your arm your arm is like it only has a couple joints in it, you know and it's has like 6 degrees of freedom or something like that. But your fingers, man, the degrees of freedom of your fingers is like way, 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 way higher. Um, I think, and I might be wrong, but like the complexity of motion in like kind of fine motor coordination is it's not something to laugh at. So point is, see, like you can make a pretty, this is it's not a great robot, but it does the job. It does the job. I'm gonna retcon this. This is a two rotational joints. So it's like 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm gonna say 5 degrees of freedom. Should be able to, hit a decent space. So yeah, yeah, I think that'll work. Now, but here's the thing. What do we call this machine? Because I like what I'm thinking of this is like this is a bus servo system. So what that means, from my understanding of what a bus servo is, it means that it's like kind of daisy chained. Um, so you got a wire connecting to the other one, connecting to the other one, and uh, and then that's how power and control is what's the word for it? Uh, transferred. Yeah. Okay, so let's think of funny words for this. What would this be? Gnome resupply station, gnome gnome equipment center, gnome creation depot, the gnome armorer. Yes, there we go. I think that might be it. Um, okay, that's gonna be funny. There's gonna be like a little jar full of like fairy powder or something. I don't know. Yeah. Here's how you make $1 million in only 1 week using AI. First, you need a good clientele. Gnomes have been around for hundreds of thousands of years, so they come from money. They have money. So if you're gonna buy something from somebody, or if you're gonna sell to somebody, you sell to gnomes. You sell to gnomes. You don't sell to your average everyday Joe. You sell to the gnomes because they got the money. They got the money. So what do you sell to them? You sell them this Terminator equipment depot thing. Anyway, another little tip when it comes to drawing with dip pens and India ink. Um, India ink is good because it's like I mean, there's a couple good things about it, but there's also a couple annoying things you got to worry about. One of them is the fact that it gunks up. So India ink, I think it's made with like some sort of like special coal or something, and it like it very quickly builds like residue on your thing, which is not the same as like fountain pen ink. Um, but it allows like I think it decreases like viscosity or something, or increases viscosity. So it makes it easier to draw with India ink. Um, but point is, every once in a while, you want to wash off your little nib using some sort of solvent, like a special solvent for your stuff. Um, but yeah, that's what I do. Yeah, because if you don't, then it starts getting gunky, real gunky, and then it gets to the point where it's like it just becomes kind of unusable. So the way you get the stuff off of an unusable pen is you got to like drop it into the solvent for a while, and then that's just annoying, man. You don't want to lose your lose your stuff into the solvent, man. That's a fate worse than death. Also, the different types of pens that exist out there are they they're finicky. Some pens are really good. Some actually not pens, but the little metal tip at the front. Some of them are good. They don't cost a lot. They cost like like $1 or $3 or or a couple cents. They don't cost a lot, but there's like tons of different types of these nibs to use. The main thing with these little nibs, some of them are good, some of them are like, eh. And also like it really depends on what application you're using them for, and that you clean them properly. Um, but I don't know, it does offer like a ton of versatility. And here's the thing with drawing. What do you call it? A lot of people they're afraid of these types of pens because they're like, oh, it doesn't have any control. It's going to be really hard to use. It's like, no, it's not. It's really not hard to use at all, and it's super cheap. So it's like it's way better than kind of the other pens on the market. But like a lot of people, they love using like these little plastic pens, like these specific like quote unquote art pens, but like man, those pens compared to these, they suck, man. They're like, I don't know. It's like you never learned to like get off of training wheels. That's what like kind of those types of pens are. Um, yeah. I don't know, if you're gonna be a legit artist, you gotta use. I would say you gotta use these. There's just so much character in it, man. There's so much character. Okay, let's see here. Now we just gotta add some little uh, motion lines, little cartoon motion lines. Um, Also, so what do you call it? I've been talking a lot about these metal pens, but there's an even better way to draw that I haven't talked about yet. And this is the true cheat code. But this is a cheat code that is it's probably the hardest to master, and that's using the brush. To use a brush on a drawing is well, it's way more difficult. I would say, and maybe I'm wrong. I haven't really done it too much, but um, I feel like it could lead to the best drawings. It does. It is harder to master. That's about it. But yeah. Also, like these types of drawings and stuff, or these types of drawing implements. Like if you care about sustainability, um, this is like the most sustainable way to actually do drawing. Like you buy one wooden stick, you buy one metal nib, and you're never going to really need to buy use a lot of plastic, if any. And uh you know every once in a while you buy a glass jar filled with ink, and you're all good to go. um yeah. How do you what do you guys think of the new kind of overhead setup? How is it? And also, what should I draw next? What do you guys want to see next? Auto, auto, automate, automate, automated uh gnome armor, AGA, something like that. Something like that. I don't know. So you know, I always thought for the longest time, like, oh shoot, I got to make sure every single thing is like as hilarious as humanly possible, and blah, blah, blah. It's like, but the thing is, I think even if you try and make something hilarious, and if you think it's hilarious in the moment, oftentimes something you think is hilarious and you would personally like laugh at, a general audience is not going to even like really care about. Um, and I think oftentimes what I've noticed is the posts that I've made that are the most successful. Um, I didn't even realize like it would have been successful. I was like, oh shoot, this is this blew up. I don't know why. Um, so I think oftentimes like uh, I don't know when it comes to humor art or comedy art, sometimes it's not about um, making just an explosive joke, or one that's gonna like blow up. I think it's just like something like this. It's like, where's the joke? It's like, what's the joke here? It's like, I mean, honestly, like if you really wanted to dismantle this, there isn't a joke. But it's humorous, I think. It's humorous and it has like it's just a charm and it adds like some world building. It's not even world building. It's like you think of actually the joke is that there's a uh armor. How do you spell armorer? Is it ER? I think it's ER. Uh what do you call it? The joke is like gnomes are supposed to be like these forest creatures. Um and it's just maybe like a humorous like what do you call it, a juxtaposition where you have like this mechanic like adeptus mechanicus like mechanical machine that's like doing the Darth Vader thing where he's like putting the gnome hat on him. um I don't know, but it's like, is this hilarious? No. But is it humorous? Like, is it just like if you had like a book full of these, I feel like it would be very enjoyable just to like look through them. But yeah. Also, what I've noticed, and here's the thing I've really noticed, there's a genre of modern kind of comic artists where um, you look at what they make, and gosh, I read like the first panel, and I already know kind of where the joke is gonna go. Like I'm like, okay, this is the joke here is gonna be haha funny relatable. The joke is haha, doesn't this happen to you too? And it's like that's really popular humor. It's super popular. People eat that up. It's like, oh my gosh. Don't you hate it when you burn the top of your mouth eating hot food? Yep. Oh my gosh, man, that's so relatable. Oh my gosh, man, that's so funny. And people just like kind of like it just because it's like, oh, that applies to me. But it's like there's really there's no merit in it, honestly. Like, I mean, I don't know. It's the same. I would argue um, it's in the same bucket as puns, like folder, paper cut. Let me see. Could I make a pun off the fly with the word paper cut? Um, okay, so you have two guys and they're in like a room and like there's a doctor's office and there's an accountant office. Um, Forget it. Whatever. Anyway, it's gonna be convoluted if I say the joke. Um, but I don't know. I don't know. It's like here's the thing. It's like you already know. I'd say most things that are relatable. It's like there's not really a lot of what is that telling you? Like what value are you getting from something that's relatable? Um, I would argue nothing. What are you getting? Oh shoot, other people experience similar day-to-day common occurrences too. It's like, man, if you didn't know that already, I have I have bad news for you. Um, but I think there's another form of quote unquote relatable humor that it's not like some kind of generic stupid day-to-day occurrence. It's like something deeper. Like I don't know, which is what I try and do. I try and like find, I think, like kind of like maybe a psychological sentiment or a thought or an experience that's like not just something where it's like, oh ha, I burned my mouth with pizza. It's like, what's a thought that you've never really told somebody? Or what's a thought that doesn't get really the light of day? I like bringing that to the you know into the fold because um I don't know, man. It's like, because there's usefulness in that, I think, because it's like, where do you get that from? Like, who's gonna be willing to like tell you like a thought that you could never really say in polite company, um and not like something weird, like not like something bizarre, but it's like, it's like, anyway, it's something you're not gonna share with people. I think that's good. It's also good to like kind of name things, um and by naming things I mean, um you know reality is complicated, and let me see here, how do we do this? And we name things to apply order to the kind of the chaos of the world. And if something has a name, then we have at least some control over it. We have some understanding of like, this isn't just like some chaotic random noise. This is actually, you know a phenomenon in the world that we can interact with, right? Like, imagine if just everyone around you just started dying, right? They just start dying, and it's like not a disease, it's not radiation, and it's like more or less random, right? It's like, okay, that's horrific, it's chaotic, and it's like, I mean, what do you even do with that? It's like, if there's no causality, if there's no like rhyme or reason for why something happens, like you have no power. It's like, and honestly, this is how human beings lived for most of human history. It's like we didn't know what disease was. We didn't know how any of these things operated. Um, but when we named it, when we named it disease, even if we didn't realize what it was, um, we reclaimed some power over that phenomenon, right? Because it's no longer like just like some randomness. It's, okay, this is disease, and how do we know it's disease? Because it has this and this telltale marker. um and you might be wrong with what causes it and all that other stuff, but you can at least start building up a mental model of disease, right? You realize, okay, if I stand around with somebody who is diseased, I'm probably going to get sick. So now you have even more power, and the only way that that could have happened is if you gave it disease a name. Um but I think a lot of artists and just people in general, philosophers, scientists, their goal, or one of the things that they should be doing, it isn't like giving some weird explanation of why. Well, why is this, why is that? It's like your explanation of why is probably going to be wrong at some level. It's important to have some whys, but I think what's even more important is to say like what is true, like what do we know. um and give things names. And you might be wrong with the names, but if you name things, you take things out of the realm of like chaos and the unknown, and you put it into the realm of conscious will. It becomes something you can control, something that you know so something that doesn't have complete power over you. And I think that's one of the things that I'm trying to do with my art too. It's like, see things that don't really have names yet, or haven't been approached at a certain angle, and like shine a flashlight onto things. I don't know. And maybe this, I don't know. It's like, I don't know. I think that's a better pursuit, account a better pursuit than like trying to get a cheap buck off of playing into people's desire for you know in-group belonging by just saying, hey, uh, look at how relatable this situation is. It's like you don't learn anything in that. Um, it's like Calvin and Hobbes did this really well. Um, but what the problem is, if you aren't approaching art at that level, where you're trying to where you're trying to actually figure something out about the world, you know, it doesn't necessarily need to be, oh, I have a political message I want to spread. It's like it could be like that the art itself is the experiment. If you don't have that, and if you're kind of just doing it for like money or for followers or for like social clout, I don't know, like there isn't really merit to what you're doing, right? If I'm just drawing like a hyper realistic photo of Will Smith, if I'm painting a hyper realistic Will Smith painting, it's like, what are you even trying to say here? What are you saying? What you're saying with that art is Will Smith is a famous person, and I'm putting a lot of effort into drawing a realistic portrait of him so that his fame lasts even longer. It's like, okay, bro, what's wrong with you? What is wrong with you? Like, I don't know, man. Like that is such a low, man. It's just I just think it's sad when I see stuff like that. Like someone wastes literally hundreds of hours of their time on an incredible painting with no purpose. Like like a painting that, it would honestly be better if it like just was like thrown in the trash, because like people who look at it will think that art has a different meaning than what it is. And art is not for, you know, a hyper realistic photo of Darth Vader. It's like, yeah, if that's your intention, if that's your art, if that's your magnum opus, dude, I don't know what to say to you. But and the thing is, that's like, um, you could say, oh well, not a lot of artists are like this. It's like, dude, you have no idea, dude. You have no idea what the average artist is like, dude. The average artist is like worse, like has a worse soul than like your average CEO, I think. Um, like, dude, I walked through like a local gallery. It's insane. I walked through a local gallery. Um, and dude, the art that was there, some of it was like, it's like, oh, this is well, technically it's well done. Technically it's art, it's paint on a piece of paper with good proportions and whatever, whatever. But dude, I don't know, man. Like they were taking like fluoride injections or something, just given how horrible it was. Like portraits of Darth Vader, portraits of an Ewok. Um, Gosh, just so many photos, like so much Star Wars art. Like, okay, yeah, Star Wars art, got it. Um, the only Star Wars art that is valid is the stuff made by oh gosh, what was the guy's name? Ralph McLaury, McLary or something. Anyway, the guy who did the original concept art. Anyone who just like copies Star Wars art is like, it's just sad and pathetic, man. It's like horrible. I don't know. Um, but like, dude, there was an entire gallery full of just that type of stuff. And man, just like, what is wrong with you? Oh man. Anyway, and you could say no. All art is like worthwhile. All art is saying something. All art is good. It's like, no, dude, no. I mean, sure, think that think that yourself. Have fun with that idea. Um, but you're completely wrong, and I'm gonna be vindicated in the future because societies that think that all art goes, all art is fine, they end up dying. They end up, falling apart, and they end up kind of being forgotten. And historians are going to see people who made this art, and they're going to say this is like this is cheap art that marked the decline of this civilization. Like that's what historians like literally will say. Um, Now, does that mean that my art is incredible? Maybe not. But in terms of like the attempt, like there are principles that you have to live by when you're making art. I think, you know, there's intent that you have to put into your art. Um, that's beyond just, oh, I like Star Wars, so I'm gonna make a Star Wars. I'm gonna make a Star Wars because I like Star Wars. It's like, okay, no, 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 no. No, dude, no, 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 bad. I gotta get the spray bottle. Um, uh, it's like these people should be like tethered to like a grand idea or grand narrative. Like, look at the best artists in human history. I would say John Martin was probably one of the best artists. And what was all his, what did he draw? He drew biblical scenes, and you could say, oh, biblical scenes, they're overdone. It's like, okay, no, because what are you doing with a biblical scene? You're adding to the dialectic. You are adding um, to kind of the story. And these are important stories. These are stories that last for thousands of years. And by drawing something, you are, you have a rich reference. It's like a hyperlink, right? You're reading Wikipedia, you click on a hyperlink, and you find another article. You know, so it adds some depth to it. It also, like, you're contributing to the culture. You're contributing to, the future. You're contributing to a lot. It's a part of like something bigger. And like here's a rebuttal to my previous point. Isn't Star Wars stuff like isn't Star Wars stuff like the basically that? It's like, no, because Star Wars stuff, that's just like another media franchise. You know, I think it's really deplorable when one artist, does like a carbon copy of another artist. You can try and like imitate. You can try and take certain elements, but if your work is like a one-to-one representation of another artist's work, it's like, man, I don't even know. Um, and like, what's the Bible? The Bible is supposed to be a historical document. That's the intent behind it. So a an artist painting a biblical scene isn't painting Marvel movies. They're painting a historical scene. They're breathing life to a historical scene. Um, and the best paintings are historical, I think, because and why is that? I think why is that? It's because the past is uh, the past was here for only a little moment. You know, the past was here for an infinitesimally small amount of time, and then it's gone. And it's important to like know what the past was. You can't just be someone um, ripped from your time and your place. You can't be someone who's like not a part of history. um, So having historical artwork, or artwork that is maybe future looking, or artwork that helps people understand the present, um, like that's all infinitely more. It, the intent of that type of art matters an incredible amount. Like it's probably the most important thing you can do as an artist. Have that side of it nailed down. Um, um, I don't know, or capture like the present, right? Like I don't know. It's like arts. You could argue it's like kind of like a camera. Like why do we have cameras? We have cameras to remember the present. To remember the present when it turns into the past. Um, and like paintings of like a noble man from the 1600s. Oh, yikes. A painting of that guy, you could say, oh, that's kind of low art, but it's like no, because it's a detailed and accurate representation of both the culture of the time, kind of the general sentiment of the time, and also well, I mean, just like the mannerisms, the fashion, and all that other stuff, and also like the more important element of like why portraiture in the past whole has like incredible artistic merit now is because it basically shows us that human beings of the past, like they're like exactly like us. They're not like some alien creature. It's like those people are us. um so drawing things like that, drawing a portrait of a nobleman, where he's paying you a lot of money to draw it, and it's like, okay, well, isn't that not really real art? It's like, no, it is real art because it's capturing an element of humanity, and it's like saying something. It's like, and anyway, that's like, as an artist, I think you should be smart enough to be able, like, artists should be smart enough to be able to have a theme that they kind of harp on, that they talk to, you know. Um, why am I looking at this? What's important with this? Does it need to be, some stupid theme? Does it need to be like a cookie cutter theme? No. Maybe you're talking about like your own personal experience, you know, and maybe the goal is so that someone else who has a similar experience, um, can can see that they're not alone, and they can take where what you gave them through art and jump off of it, in a better direction. You know, that's not being relatable. That's kind of more niched down and useful. Um, anyway, point is, I think that there are definitely Faustian deals you can take with art, where where you do things that are like, it's not real art. It's like popcorn. Like, I'm gonna do something just because it feels funny. Like relatable art or puns, or like kind of stupid punchlines. Um, but ultimately, like, that art is gonna get forgotten really quick once the algorithms kind of dry up, or the algorithms forget you. What really matters is that you say something that resonates with people, or resonates with the truth, or maybe is experimental in some sense, where you push the boundaries of art. But anyway, I don't know. The other point is, like, if you aren't thinking at this level as an artist, and if all you're thinking about is like, oh, I want to make a hyper realistic painting of Darth Vader, an unironic hyper realistic painting of Darth Vader. It's like, okay, like, you should probably stop doing art. You probably see a mental health professional. Um, I don't know. That's all I can really tell you. Um, like, and if you're thinking about like, should I go into art? Should I go into something else? Like, if the depth of your vision is, uh, if the best thing you could possibly come up with is um, Darth Vader, it's like, okay, find a different job. Don't quit your day job. Do something else with your life. Um, but I don't know if you have something at least with a modicum of originality, you know, I think it's worth pursuing. It's probably worth, doing at least on the side, at least, trying to find a voice. Um, but like anyway, um, the idea that there is no moral element to art, there's no, um, all art is good. It's like no, not all art is good, and there is some art that is morally bad. That's bad on like a deep level. Um, and not like, oh, it's bad because it looks bad. It's like no, it's bad on like it's sick art, not sick in terms of cool, but sick in terms of like there's something wrong with it, and it is hurting people by looking at it. It is hurting people by it existing. Like seeing a Darth Vader mask oil painting in a gallery is destructive to the social fabric of our society. Um, it is wasteful. Like it's like saying, "Oh, you know what? I'm just going to hire a bunch of, every single hiring people in the Philippines is cheaper, so I'm just going to hire everyone who works for me in the Philippines." Um okay, but then you have externalities. And then you end up cannibalizing your own society. Anyway, there's like a lot of anyway, complicated argument. But the better approach is like, oh no, yeah. My point is like, okay, if I'm hiring a bunch of people in the Philippines, it means that there's going to be less jobs for people in your nation, and it's like, it's like some people can't have white collar, complicated, mentally taxing jobs. Some people aren't smart enough for that. Some people need to work in like other jobs, like at a call center or something else. So it's like to say, "Oh, yes, I'm going to outsource everything." It means that you are now robbing the people in your country from jobs. You're making it harder for the people in your own country. Um, and anyway, like the same thing is true with like art. Like if there's only so much gallery space, there's only so much, places to put art out there. And um if you're hogging all the space with something that's subpar and like antithetical to humanity, you're not only, hurting people mentally, but you're also just, being completely wasteful and also disrespectful to other artists because, say there's a gallery with like 10 different spots for paintings. If one of them or two of them or three of them are, have a picture of friggin' Darth Vader on the wall, it means that three other artists who could have had something great on there now no longer get to do that. Um anyway, which is also why the people who run institutions like art galleries and kind of who are the ones who decide what goes up and what doesn't stay and other other things like that. It's imperative that they have a good sense of taste or that they have a good judgment. But what we see today is like they don't. Most people have like the sense of taste of like thinking that a pile of excrement with flies flying around it is equivalent to high art. It's like no. Um, I don't know. Anyway, the other side of this is conservatives. Are conservatives suck. Like like conservative people are supposed to be the ones who are paying for high art. You know, who have actually a good sense of taste. A lot of Republicans and whatever aren't artists and they don't have a creative bone in their body, but they should at least realize that to make a society good, it needs to have aesthetic merit. But what we see today is people on the right don't pay at all for art. They kind of they're like, "Oh, that's somebody else's job. Oh, I'm not going to be." I'm not gonna to pay for these, I'm not gonna waste my money on art. I'm not gonna waste my money on art. I feel like so many boomer and Gen Xer conservatives think like this. And like this is why you don't have like a decent artistic space. It's because who's willing to pay money on art? People with no taste. People who like f- the feeling of making art, but who don't actually know what they're doing, right? Like a lot of kind of leftist artists. Um, there's a lot of great leftist artists, by the way. It's like I'm not saying that leftists artists are bad, but like neo-lib and like leftist artists, you tend to have some trash, and a lot of it is very derivative. Like in the beginning, right? In the early 20th century and like with Basquiat in the later 20th century and stuff, like, leftist artists did kind of have some new ideas. But today they're kind of a lot of them are just rehashing the same old stuff that they came up with in the 1920s. Um and they're getting money for it. They're getting money for it because like there's no money behind any other type of art, um, which is a huge problem. Like, if you care about aesthetics, if you care about seeing good art and seeing good architecture, if you care about beauty, it can't just be, "Oh, I'm just going to, it'll just happen. The free market will decide what is good." It's like, no, 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 no. You, if you have money, you need to make it happen. That is the job of people who are nobles. That is the job of people who have money. They are patrons. They ensure that the good artists get money. Um, Otherwise, you have the slop we see today. You see Hollywood movies that are trash. Um, and that's kind of, I think it's somewhat flipping around somewhat with like small studios, but that's a different story. Um, I don't know. It's like right wingers need to stop. Like they need to start actually paying for stuff. They need to start putting their money where their mouth is because like if you believe in something, you should act on it. If you believe in um like I don't know, if I have an idea just of how the world is going to go. If I think okay, there's going to be a recession in 3 months, then and I don't do anything, it's like okay, then what's the purpose of that belief, right? If I come up with a prediction and I don't act on a prediction, it's like you're just an idiot, right? Like if you think something is true, if you believe in something, you need to put money in it. You need to act on it. You need to do something with it. Or else you're just like a consumer. You're no better than like kind of like this the person who watches like Mandalorian and has like a baby Yoda plushie and 50 Funko Pops. Like even if you, oh, I'm a based trad, I'm a based trad cath, I'm a based trad cath conservative. It's like if you aren't doing anything, oh, I went to a food kitchen, I went to a soup kitchen. Okay, sure, that's good in some regard, but it's like there's a larger battle going on for aesthetics. And if you have money and you're not if you're not if you and you believe that, oh, I love cathedrals. I love baroque paintings. I love classic architecture. I love all this stuff. And you just like, but I'm gonna buy a modernist block house, and I'm going to spend, you know, $300 a year on streaming services. Um, and I'm not going to be a patron of the arts. It's like, dude, you're you're going to hell probably. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe not. I don't know. But it's like the spirit of that is true. It's like you you are a part of the game and you should act according to your beliefs. And this isn't just like to right wingers or conservatives, like leftists too, and like anybody. Like if you have a belief, like act on it. Don't just like let it like sit and fester and be like some stupid thing. It's like, you know, you might be wrong. You might be wrong. I don't know. It's like you don't need okay, buy a Baroque. Yeah, buy a Baroque painting from like s- hundreds of years ago. No, but there's people making great art today. It's like buy their art. That's why you exist in the time period you're in. Not to buy some dead person's art, to buy, to support the current dialectic. Um anyway, it's just I don't know. The problem is individualism. The problem is like this kind of Jordan Peterson individualism where the only thing that matters is you and your own little, your own actions for yourself. It's like no, 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 no. You exist in a complex, large scale community in a certain time period in history. And you don't matter at all, really. Like you and me, we're all just like, you know, you zoom out. We are all just like kind of one. We're one person on a firing line on a Napoleonic battlefield. Like we are all bodies that are meant to like. We're all bodies that are being thrown in a meat grinder in a war. That's how you need to view yourself. You're not some special little butterfly. Oh my gosh, the only thing that matters is how happy I am. The only thing that matters is that I live a fun and good life. It's like no, 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 no. That doesn't matter at all. You know, and you'll get some happy little things where, sometimes you'll have a good day and sometimes like, things start working out and blah blah blah, but like that's not what life is. Life is you are a body to be thrown at a problem. And there are so many problems today. So many problems where if you do not do something big to solve them yourself, not like, oh, someone else will solve this. No. If you don't put in the effort, the world will be worse off for it. Like that's the point of our lives. Our lives are not for pursuing pleasure and happiness. Our lives are not for hedonism. Like that and even if you try and pursue that, even if that's the purpose of your life, you're just gonna suffer. It's gonna be worse. Like if your life isn't about being a body to be thrown at a problem, you're just gonna be you're gonna be more miserable than if you saw it the other way. Like you need to imagine that you are like a person in Warhammer 40K. You're in like a hive city, or you're like in, you're fighting Tyranids or whatever they are. Um, and it's like, you and the people around you are going to be able to contribute a small amount to solving a problem, and you don't even know if the problem is going to get solved in the end. But if you all just put in a ton of effort and you're fighting, like eventually something is going to budge. The main issue is conservatives today, they don't think like that. They think in terms of like the only thing that matters is my own, like they don't see a community, they don't see a group. They see themselves and a straight line. The straight line is, I go to college. I need to do what's right. I need to go to college. I need to be an upstanding citizen. I need to get educated. And then I'm going to go to a job. And now I got the money. And then I'm going to find the wife. And then I'm going to start create the house and make the kids. And then that's my life. It's like, okay, that's an element of a life. That could be an element of a life, but that's not life. That's not the purpose. Like, you need to think bigger. It's like, okay, you got the kids, you got the family. Um, did all the problems that the political problems you cared about, are those gone now? Like, you know, oh, and now I have some money. I'm gonna invest in a retirement account. I'm gonna invest in real estate. It's like, okay, there's more things to invest in than just your stupid assets. You know, pay people, pay people who agree with you, who are fighting for causes. Um, you know, fight the fight. It's like like you need to think of this like a war. Uh it's not something where like, oh yeah, everything is just gonna end up okay if I live in my white picket fence. It's like no, that's like that's like a small part of what your job is. And the other problem is like because conservatives have been like this for the last like 50 years, like now now the dream of a white picket fence of a loving family, it's like it's pretty much gone. It's like a lot of people are probably never gonna have a wife. A lot of people are never gonna have kids, just due to how much our previous ruling class dropped the ball. Um, and and it's like, okay, if you don't have that white picket fence, if you don't have those, you know, that type of a life, like what's the purpose? What's the point? Um, the point is to treat yourself like a body to be thrown at a problem. Um, like you need to care less about yourself, care more about the cause, the group, where are we going? How do we make the future better? And make your peace with the fact that you might not get what you want in this life. Um, you might not get the material wants that you so desire. And for most of human history, people didn't. You know, it's like reality is brutal. Um, like anyway, but I don't know. And I guess a lot of this is still like bent towards people who are already pretty well established and already have money and already are like doing okay. It's like if you're in that position, that's not your money. That's not your money. Society said, okay. The market said this guy is good at dealing with money. This guy is competent, so let's give him money. Um, it's not giving you money so that you get to, um, just goon with it. It's not for you. The money society gives you is not yours. They're like coupon vouchers. It's like, we think that you're good enough at solving problems that will give you money so you can solve bigger problems. And if you have like principled beliefs, your job is to take the money that you own and then apply it to even bigger problems and solve those and then solve the next one and then get bigger ones and solve those and blah blah blah. For some people, the biggest problem that they have is starting a family. So yeah, getting a house and getting a family could be the most complicated thing that you have to do. But for many people, it's like you if that's your cutoff, if your cutoff is like, oh, I'm gonna go to church on Sundays and then I'm just going to and then that's it. That's all I'm gonna do. It's like, no. Like, man, that is how you lose a society. That is how you lose a movement. Um, it's like, I don't know, man. It's like, I don't know. I think I've said my piece in probably like 50 different ways already, but I don't know. Like treat life like a video game. Like treat it like a video game. Treat it like you're just like, an ant in a big ant colony. Like stop caring so much about your own feelings. Care more about like what's your outcome on the world? Like how are you going to be able to do something big? Um, how are you going to be able to like solve things you believe in and care about? And once you treat your body as like kind of like treat it like a joystick controller, treat it like some character you get to just move around on a screen. Um, like if you kind of depersonalize yourself and decouple it from your feelings, then I think what you're actually able to do is much greater. Um, I don't know. Yeah. Anyway, I think that's pretty much most of it. Um Damn, you're still here. Life is like a video game. Oh man. Dang. I gotta seems like oh, anyway. I'm not gonna say what I need what I'm gonna say. But I hope you guys enjoyed the conversation and I will be live streaming tomorrow, I think, or something like that. But let me know if you guys have any other things you want me to draw. You can DM me on Goosnav on Instagram and I'll figure it out. Schizo rambling. All right. Um, I'll talk to you guys later. Peace out.